You could be one of the first members of Facebook when they came out in Europe, but that didn't mean anything because that profile was not yours. And it was owned by the platform you made it on.
How does Web3 impact digital ownership and intellectual property?
For the first time in the history, you have something that could help you manage that. You are the owner of that digital item because you own by the private key. Intellectual property is the same. On internet, everything is copy-pastable and it's very hard to enforce, even in the most direct sense. Then this is not directly related to Web3. It also has to do a lot with the open source movement, and people have a lot of misconceptions about what open source is. The story about intellectual property also stems from that. So I think that's one of the most profound things that are going to play out in the next, 5, 10, 20 years, and it's going to change a lot of things. Basically everything.
There's still the running joke today, I just screenshot this and it's mine. But having the ability to verify on-chain is not an otherworldly concept like it's perceived. Whether it comes to owning apparel brand on-chain, being able to verify, being able to flex a membership or some collectible that is very hard to achieve is very powerful. An example is we worked previously with a very popular overseas spirits brand, and the number one thing they wanted was to create authenticator for their spirit bottles because there's so many counterfeits, and being able to have that for them is really good for their consumer base to uphold the status, so it's not as common as people may think with that they are with counterfeits.
Web3 allows everything is on chain, so there's every transaction is recorded on chain. You're truly owning this physical card, but doing so through blockchain, and your ownership is defined, it's secure, it's defined. It allows for a lot of opportunities, especially if you think about like the card listers themselves, where they can get rewarded for listing a card. They're connected to that physical card forever because they listed on platform.
I think it's going to open up new channels by which people can produce and share their content in a way that gives them greater ownership of how they want to monetize that. And I think with Web3, you'll have more options to do that, and it's going to create more competition in the field. So companies like Patreon will have to be aware of, well, what are other ways that people can do something similar in Web3 that may be more cost effective? And I think it'll make it more affordable and just like greater options for creators and more options for the consumers of the media as well.
That's all to play for. ERC 721's NFTs are being used in a lot of ways. They also have practical use cases. So in Urbit, we use NFTs as a mapping for our address space. We think of it as digital land. There's plenty of other instances out there as well, and I think people are going to make use of them in the coming years to build kind of a robust Web3 ecosystem.
The theory of it is really cool, where you can basically virtualize everything. You can take ownership of your data. I think it's difficult because a lot of parties will want control over things, and therefore they don't want to give that control to individuals, and that goes a bit against the purpose of most people in the industry.